to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 308 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, nobody listening to the podcast is going to probably notice the difference, but we have a complete new podcast studio in a box this week. And so far, it's already malfunctioned once, which is not good considering how much I spent on it, but
that's all right.
Right now it's working, so we'll see. So if there's any little hiccups or anything, guys, that you hear, it's probably because of that, but it should sound better if nothing else. So I don't know. It's easier for me.
We'll take it. Yeah, we'll take it, man.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, from what I could tell, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a nice setup. It looks professional.
My setup over here is the same. So
if we can't be professional, we can at least look professional, James.
That's right. Darn right, man.
I think that is the motto for the Craftsman Truck Series as well. Oh, no, they didn't look professional either. We'll get to that, right?
Boy. That was a weekend. Well, the whole weekend, really. Oh, man.
Well, James, it took us an extra day, but the 2024 season is officially underway now. The Daytona 500 is in the books. The NASCAR Xfinity Series has started their season. The Craftsman Truck Series has started their season. The ARCA Series has started their season. It's race season now. Of course, we go to another track that's going to be a crapshoot this weekend in Atlanta, but we'll get to that too. I guess let's start off, James. Like I said, we postponed the race till Monday. The decision was made pretty early on Sunday to do so. The Xfinity race was also postponed on Saturday to right straight to Monday morning, and then pushed back till after the Cup race on Monday. What are your thoughts? I was pretty happy with NASCAR making a nice early decision on Sunday that they weren't going to try to get that race in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they definitely. I mean, we knew.
Right.
We did the podcast last week, and we were already planning.
Yeah.
I think I tweeted about it too, because they released the schedule, and I said, may want to include Monday on that.
Right.
And and I think it really helped them too, because the crowd really showed up.
Yeah.
It gave NASCAR a lot of, heads up, like the fans, a lot of heads up going into the weekend. And I think too, people travel on vacation for the 500. So, good turnout. I think Jeff Gluck's podcast, they were talking about a guy from Michigan came down, on Saturday, knowing that there was a lot of rain. He thought he could get a ticket. So that's pretty cool. Like, there's a few people maybe got in that wouldn't have had a chance to. It looked good. It looked like the Daytona 500 to me.
Yeah, I agree with you, James. It was a really good crowd. Nice to see fans show up to the track on a Monday. Here's the thing that surprised me though. And I get people had travel plans and all that stuff, and they already stayed an extra day. But if you had a free ticket to the Xfinity race like an hour later, wouldn't you stay? I mean, I know it was late, but man,
I might have stayed for a little while.
I would have stayed for that whole thing. You couldn't have gotten me out of that place.
Well, here's what made me laugh about here's me laughing at you just for a moment.
Yeah. I
didn't see you tweet at all during the 500, but there was a flurry of activity during the Xfinity Series race, which it cracked me out. I was like, man, he is active.
So the reason for that was because I watched the almost entire 500 delayed. Because I figured we were on vacation this weekend. We were out of town. And actually, the weather worked out for me perfectly because I got to watch a lot more live than I expected to. I did watch the truck race live and the ARCA race live, minus the last 10 laps of the truck race because we had to leave where we were, and I went back to the Airbnb and watched the end there. But yeah, the Cup race I started late because we were still on the way home. I started about hour and a half late, and it took me most of the race to catch back up. So. But yeah, the Xfinity race was live for me, so
that was great.
I posted plenty during that. Plus, I was annoyed with some stuff, so that helps too. And after all the wrecking and craziness of the weekend, and plus I spent the whole weekend with my kids and my family and stuff. So confined in it. We were in an Airbnb, so it wasn't as bad as like being confined in a hotel room, but. I was irritable.
Well, I tell you what, I was with my kids by myself all day today. So you got me at a primo
We're
headspace today.
we're in a good spot.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, we're on the same page.
So James, you and I both have picked William Byron, right? We both picked William Byron to win our championship. You picked him, right?
Yeah, I think I had no choice.
So the year of
But
William Byron has begun already, and William Byron has won the Daytona 500. He's the newest Daytona 500 winner.
champion.
Yeah, exactly.
The only-
This is you don't win this race; you're a champion of this race.
Yes, I had this argument with somebody earlier today. I said this is the only race where you are a champion.
Well, Indianapolis 500 too, but
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
only
Yeah.
NASCAR race where you're the champion. So,
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, no, I looked at the notes. We both have Byron winning the title, so we're good. We got him in the playoffs as of right now.
That's
so
good.
so that's good. We're doing great.
So far we are winning.
Our 500 picks did not pan out for us, but
No, they did not.
but they were close. They were close.
They weren't terrible.
They weren't terrible.
Does this tell us anything? It's a 500. I mean, this is the first like realistic competitor for the championship we've had win the 500 in several years, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I mean, Hamlin won what 2020. But that one was weird too because we had the Newman thing.
Right.
But yeah, since then it's been McDowell and Ricky Stenhouse. So yeah, I mean I was really glad to see someone of substance take this one. Not that the other ones are any less meaningful, but it's nice to see somebody who was just in the championship who was one of the featured players in the Netflix doc.
Yeah, that's really good
was
for them too.
Yeah, I thought that was good synergy all the way around. I mean, there's a handful of guys I really pull for, and Byron getting it was awesome. That's the first time I've been kind of pumped to see a winner in quite a while. So, I was pulling for him there at the end. I was scared though when the caution came out. I know we're going to talk about it. I was scared. I thought it was Bowman there for a second because I was like, oh, Byron got it, and then Bowman's out there. I'm like, oh wait, maybe it was Bowman. I hope it wasn't Bowman. So that was
that late
crazy.
restart. It was looking pretty good that we were going to get a new Daytona 500 winner because I think the only one we had up there was Cindric, and everybody else, like the top 10, nobody had won the 500 before. So
yeah, it was a jostled for sure. And then you had Ross out there just blocking. I mean, on brand, Ross Chastain blocking the daylights out of the track. And I thought we were gonna get a couple more cautions, the way that thing was panning out, but yeah, I mean, we got the caution, I guess, at just the right time to get the race in.
Well, before we get to Ross, let's go. You put a question out to me on Twitter, and I'll let you read it here. You can go for it, and we'll discuss that first. So go for it, James.
Yeah, so you wrote it down differently than I phrased it, but
I'm pretty sure I copied it literally cut and pasted it. But anyway.
My question was who you got for the next 10 years, William Byron or Ryan Blaney? Ryan Blaney off the championship, you've got that on your resume. But my question was, you've got 10 years, looking ahead 10 years, whose career are you going to want? William Byron, Ryan Blaney, because William Byron now has more career wins than Ryan Blaney, which is interesting. Are
you expecting this to be a hard question for me to answer?
I wasn't. Well, here's why I wanted to pose the question.
Yeah.
So if you take Ryan Blaney, right, you've got the championship in your back pocket. You've already got one, right? You're hoping that William Byron gets a championship, right? You've got to at least get that, or is he? My thinking was maybe he's Denny Hamlin, right?
James, in the Winston Cup era, yes. You would have to get that championship to be in the conversation. I mean, Mark Martin is a rarity in the Winston Cup era of a driver who doesn't have a championship that can still be considered one of the top guys.
Denny Hamlin too, yes.
Yes.
Yep. And
although Denny Hamlin's less of his career was in the Winston Cup era than Mark Martin.
He never, Yep, he was Nextel Cup and on. So really it is Mark Martin. And that's pretty much it. He was the number. What's the saying? I would say the best to never get it done.
Right.
Or the best to never win champ. It's between Mark Martin and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, this isn't even a tough question. Even without a championship, William Byron, I think, still is going to be the guy. I think
Yeah,
there's more
yeah.
potential for William Byron. William Byron's got a bigger runway still, I think.
He
You know?
does 90 less. Yep, 90 less starts in his career. He's a little bit younger.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Blaney Blaney does not strike me as a guy who's going to go out there and have a 10-win season.
Right.
He's going
Right.
to could he win another championship? Sure, yeah, he could. But he's going to click off, 3 wins a season maybe in a good year.
Kurt Busch style, right? Kurt
yeah.
Busch style where you get 1 and 2, 1 and 2.
Maybe even better than Kurt, but I think Byron's the type of guy. He's the Jeff Gordon, he's the Jimmy Johnson. He's the guy that when he lights fire, he's going to be able to win 6-8 races in a season. And I know it's really a lot tougher to do that now than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but I still think that's coming for Byron. Not to mention he's in that 24 car, and we've all been annoyed with that 24 car for winning too many races in the past. It's going to happen again.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason I wanted to bring the question to you, because I always find those types of discussions kind of interesting because the game has changed a little bit. And you're right. I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at when I asked it to you, was Ryan Blaney may end his career with 20 to 25 career wins, let's say.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, maybe for whatever reason it doesn't quite happen for Byron, but he gets to 60 wins, but he never gets the championship. Like that's the bet you make right now. It's like, okay, you've got the biggest prize in your back pocket. Now you've got a guy with a Daytona 500 who's building that he's kind of building that Denny Hamlin type resume now, where the wins are starting to come. He's got one of the big jewels now. He's going to start. You and I are on the same page. I think this guy's going to be the guy who pops off 5, 6, a handful of times, kind of like Kyle Busch did, where Kyle Busch was rattling off big seasons there for stretches, and there'll be some stinkers in there from time to time. But I think you're looking at another 15 years of shots at a title.
Yeah.
Coming. That's the trajectory William Byron's on. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano.
Mm-hmm.
That's the group right there. And Joey Logano's on the lower end of those guys, where he doesn't have all of the wins, but he's got the big ones. He's got the big wins. He's got the championships. So yeah, that's kind of the argument. Blaney may never get another shot at it, but he's got it.
Right.
And I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. I think there's just more upside to Byron going forward, and obviously this is one of those conversations that we could be completely wrong with.
Yeah.
You never know who's going to light fire.
Right.
But I think just looking at what we've seen so far, you and I have both been pretty high on William Byron, and I've been lukewarm on Ryan Blaney. I honestly didn't think Blaney would get the championship, but.
Well, I crapped all over him last year in the playoffs, and he just kept grinding, and it's one of the more impressive, one of the more impressive championship runs, because he just refused to go away and then hung around all the way to the last race. And I think, the one thing with Blaney, and I'm waiting to see it. I thought we'd see it by now, but I thought his star would be shining a little more brighter than it is, but he's also not that kind of personality. So, but neither is William Byron. He's pretty reserved. I think the Netflix show kind of showed that.
Yeah.
And the fun, I think the other link, obviously is the Aaron Blaney situation.
Right.
These guys are going to be linked in more ways than one. Yeah. For quite some time, I think.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be rivals, but
family
frenemies, as they go. So
yeah, could be family too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Let's see. You started talking about Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain makes the risky move. What was the line I just saw on? What did he say after the race?
He said
he took the gap and he failed or something like that.
Oh my God.
Give me your thoughts on the move. I almost find it. Yeah, never mind. The quote's not here in front of me.
You said it pretty close to accurate. It was, he had a shot. He said, I had a shot to win the Daytona 500. I stayed in the throttle. I shot the gap.
Yeah. Did he do
There
anything
was
wrong? I mean, did he do anything wrong there? I mean, obviously he
I did-
wrecked, so yes, in the long run. But honestly, like decision-wise, was it a bad decision to do what he did?
on brand for Ross Chastain. The move lacked patience, in my opinion.
I think it
because
lacked finesse.
that too. I don't think there was a gap.
Here's the problem with patience, though, James. The problem with patience is there's no such thing after you cross the line for the white flag.
Could not agree more with you. And Corey LaJoy said it. I think Corey LaJoy nailed this. He said, I was in line for the Daytona 500. I don't know if this will happen for me again. I don't know if in that situation with one lap to go, if I'm ever going to be there again. So in that instance, you cannot fault Ross Chastain for being as risky as possible. It to me, like I can't armchair quarterback these guys. Like, yeah, it's
Right.
easy for me to say, yeah, be patient, man. Stay in line. You get if you wreck
You know what makes me stop armchair quarterbacking these guys is the slowed down video of Ryan Blaney hitting the wall in the duels.
In-car cameras facing the driver.
Yeah, when he hits like that, I'm like, oh my God. Or any video of any of these guys letting go of the steering wheel at 190 miles an hour when they're heading towards the wall.
Right. And
because my body would be going, oh my God, and holding on as tight as possible.
Oh, I think I'd be gone. I think I'd be gone. That might be the end of me. My I guess devil's advocate for Ross here is you wreck there, and you don't really get to. You're not letting it play out. You're not taking the chance to let it play out. And I can see you going both ways, right? You go for it. And that's Ross. He's always going to go for it. I'm not going to fault him for that. But if Ross has a history of never showing any patience, I think if you show some patience there, you can at least get through corners 1 and 2 and see what you got down the back straightaway. I think this is a situation where you can fight. You can continue the fight. You don't have to, you don't have to lob a grenade in there and blow it all up right there. You can continue to fight because you still have a chance. If you're not there off of turn 4, you don't have a chance anyway. You got to make it that far. I think he jumped the gun just a little bit too early.
What does Dale Jr. say? What is the advice that Dale Jr. gives to drivers in restrictor plate races? When you've got to run, take it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think this race makes it off turn 2. And because of that, I don't think there's enough time for Ross to recover if he lifts. I think he made the right choice. It was the wrong choice, but I think it was the only choice he had.
We saw of this move, and this is the first thing I thought of on Thursday when Blaney crashed really, really hard.
Yeah.
It was the same situation. Mm-hmm. Just the momentum, everything was building up a little bit differently, but you had Byron jump to the high side and bog everything down, and things triggered. And in this situation, Ross had a massive run. It wasn't that Byron really bogged anybody down, but he jumped to the high side. Ross had a massive run and tried to take a lane that wasn't there.
Yeah.
And he crashed one way, Blaney crashed the other way and hit the wall a ton. So, it's a racing deal, man. These guys make split-second decisions. One of the cool things Fox did during the broadcast was they showed the 100-yard markers. I mean, Eric, you see how fast these guys are going across the football field.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have a whole lot of time. You got to stand by your conviction, and you got to make that move. You got to stand by it. And yeah, I can pick on Ross anytime I want to. He gives me plenty of material, but I'm not going to dog him here. You know what I mean? This is
right.
Again, this is your shot at the Daytona 500. And like Corey LaJoy said, man, you may never be in that spot again. It's very, you get one shot at this thing a year. And you've got 500 miles to get to a point where you've got that shot. You've got to survive all the way through. You got to take it. And that's why we see so much calamity. Guys aren't going to lift. They're just going to go for it.
So Ross Chastain causes the wreck after the white flag. Race finishes under caution. Another race that ends based on somebody pushing a button. A lot of debate on social media, as there is every time this happens. Is this how the winner of the biggest race of the year in NASCAR should be determined?
Remember when the 24 car won the Daytona 500 under yellow
Yeah.
with Terry Labonte and Ricky Craven, and they were all 3 wide.
Yeah.
Remember Dale Earnhardt? Did he cross the checkered flag under green, or did he cross the checkered flag under yellow?
Yeah, he crossed the checkered flag under yellow, but he raced back to the line.
Yeah, right. But what's the problem? I mean, you can't race back to the line here. What's the problem?
Well, James, I saw a suggestion that we paint a line on the back stretch.
Oh.
And when we wreck on the front stretch and the caution comes out, they race to that line.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah. Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Right, doesn't it?
Jeez, oh Pete's, man.
The thing is there's just
we're never gonna get it right.
This is the best. This is the best we've got. I don't want to see a race finish under caution, but once they get to the white flag, end the race.
Yep.
I used to be a big proponent of, do the ARCA thing, and if they cross the finish line and the caution comes out, let's run one lap. But forget that. This is fine. We have unlimited attempts until we hit the white flag, and once the white flag waves, it's over. Yes, is it a letdown? Yes, it's a big letdown to not see us race to the finish. But this is the closest to racing to the finish that you're probably ever going to get in the Daytona 500 anymore. It's just so frequently it's not going to come to the start finish line because this happens. And short of something that automatically triggers the caution. Now, I will say that NASCAR's inconsistency with the caution throwing causes issues because we saw later in the night that they didn't throw the caution in the Xfinity race.
Right.
And they did let them race back to the line. Not that it mattered in that one. But that being said, when a car, which was Austin Cindric, I believe, comes up across the track in front of the field, you got to throw the caution. I don't think it matters because nobody's lifting, but you have to throw the caution there. NASCAR is going to get criticized if they don't. So,
yeah, exactly. You cannot hold it for any. I mean, you can give them a second to see if the car's clear out of the way in the front straightaway, but if you hold that thing and then light it up in turn 3, for example, you're going to get killed if something, I don't know, let's say for an example, let's say Chase Elliott gets a massive run.
Yeah.
And he's on the high side. He doesn't have the lead. All of a sudden he's in the lead heading into turn 3 and you throw it. Yep. That's going to cause a major, major problem. You've got to be on it. And I think it was as fair as you can possibly get. Those guys racing hard.
If you know that you're not coming back around to the start finish line, you have to throw it when you know that you're ending it, because the longer you wait, the more it looks like you're waiting for a certain person to be out front.
Yep. And what have we argued about the yellow flags many, many times?
Yeah.
It's not, the yellow flags should not be for show. They should be for safety.
Yep.
Right. That's the number one thing.
I guess my only argument would be maybe in the Xfinity situation, then they should have just thrown the caution.
Right.
If cars are turned around on the track, throw the caution. But
right.
I don't know. Maybe it's time for us to stop sitting here and second guessing the decisions that are made in a fraction of a second in the tower when everybody's okay.
Yep.
Yep. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I didn't hear a driver complain about when the caution came out.
The drivers understand.
Yeah. It's super speedway racing. This is what you're going to get. And I saw your buddy Nick Bromberg had something out there today about the increase in wrecks and how NASCAR could make a rule change to get rid of the pushing, and they haven't done it. So are they really trying? They really want what? Anyway.
Yeah.
Freaking Nick Bromberg.
I like that he gets you going.
Yeah.
It's like having a satellite version of me out there.
Yeah. I can tolerate you though.
I mean, if Alex Bowman's not complaining about it,
right?
What are you
exactly.
Gonna do?
Exactly.
Maybe if it was a different manufacturer, they might have been. But
Fox had some new toys to play with for the Daytona 500 this year, and a returning one. The gyro cam made its return. To the excitement of no one, because who gives a crap about the gyro cam? But I will say, James, the telestrator stuff that they had, the 3D telestrating that they pulled from the NFL, where the cars lit up, that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought it was
good.
neat. It was good to see some of that technology make its way in a NASCAR. But I think Fox was adequate for this. I think they did okay.
Yeah, and I thought Kevin Harvick was good,
Yeah.
not great, but good. Like
Harvick,
in
you
a
can
good like.
tell. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off tonight.
No, it's
You
okay.
can
It's
tell
okay.
that Harvick is. I mean, Harvick's been in the booth for races, but he's been in the booth for Xfinity races, and you can tell. You could tell in the duels. He got lost in the duels. He got overwhelmed
Yeah.
in the duels, and he'll get there. It'll come around, and it won't be quite
Yeah.
as amazing to him anymore. But he's seeing this stuff for the first time. He's not seen these races
Yep.
from the tower like this. So
Exactly. Yeah, and he's calmed Boyer down,
yeah,
which is a good thing.
it's
And
always a good thing.
Boyer's doing a little bit less Tony Romo, where he's Jim.
Yeah,
Look at that play! Look at that play there, Jim. Like that's little bit less of that from Boyer.
yeah,
So yeah, no, I think Harvick's been good. Mike Joy was kind of feisty.
yeah.
He's still feisty.
I will say there were times last season when Mike Joy worried me because he seemed like he was struggling a little bit, but he was on it this weekend.
Yeah, he was there. He was good.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Yep. He was what
So-
you'd want out of a Daytona 500
Yep.
lead announcer. So I think he did
Yep.
good.
I hate that Larry Mack was back in Charlotte
Yeah.
for the I don't know, why can't Larry Mack be on site? I feel like he'd be, but maybe he doesn't want to be, and that's fine.
He does want to be.
Okay,
He's
well,
said
there
it
you go.
before.
Yeah, I don't know why he's got to be back at Charlotte. I know a lot of the stuff is going to be housed in Charlotte with the new studios and stuff that they're building, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
but
Larry
he's at
Mack
the Fox studios, not NASCAR studios. So
right,
I
I
don't
know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a feeling it's all going to be in one place at some point.
Probably. They need to justify the cost of that room they built him. So
Oh yeah, yep.
got to have him there.
Yep.
Just like the reason all of us are going back to work in the office right now. You got to justify the cost of those buildings.
That's right. Oh yeah, yep.
So James,
Yep.
it's Daytona 500. It's a crapshoot. But what stood out to you in this one? Anybody you want to single out that you were impressed with their performance? Anybody you want to throw under the bus in this race?
Well, I was impressed by a lot of things. I mean, David Reagan was hovering around. Like, he was threatening there for a while.
I didn't want to say how great of a job he did, but he did.
He was doing really good. Yeah, he was doing really good. I mean, Logano dominated, and we didn't talk about that, but Logano looked like he had the car to beat.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it was Bowman and Byron who were kind of involved in the big wreck that wiped out him and Brad. I mean, the big one, right? The one that took out any possible contender. And that hurt. I mean, that hurts watching those guys who want this so badly, not able to get it, Brad. I mean, Brad was there again.
Yeah.
He was punting people.
Well, that's what I was going to say, that Brad was up to his old antics of people spinning off of Brad's front bumper, whether Brad caused the wreck or not.
Yeah.
They were still spinning off of his front bumper starting on Thursday.
Yeah, started on Thursday, kept it going through Monday. To the point where I was wondering if the Ford, the new Ford nose and the Chevy bumper didn't match up very well.
No,
I was like, gosh, dang,
just that one on the 6 car.
No, yeah, I know. That's that's kind of where I landed after the race was kind of coming to a conclusion. I'm like, well, I mean, he made it through the rest of the race without any problems, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But
you mentioned Corey LaJoie. Corey LaJoie with a 4th place finish in the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Another strong performance for him, but he actually gets the finish for once.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
Things play out differently if Ross doesn't make his move. I don't know if Corey wins the race, but I mean, Christopher Bell sneaking around.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys.
How about that guy who's not a super speedway racer, but he wins a duel and finishes in 3rd.
Yep, really good. The top 10 was great. Allmendinger, Nemechek, and then you've got Jones and Gregson. I mean, that's and Briscoe too. That's a good top 10.
Bubba Wallace quietly sneaks there into a top 5 as well. 5th place.
Yeah, and he had, so they messed up his pit stop. Did you catch this?
Mm-mm.
They messed up his last pit stop and didn't get enough fuel in the car.
Oh yeah, I did. That's right.
And then the big one happens, and he's kind of in it, but he gets through it. I mean, everybody was kind of in that one. I mean, Chase Elliott for another one who I don't know how he got through there.
Right.
But Bubba gets out of it, and they gas him back up, and there he goes, man. Gets the 5th top 5, another top 5 in the Daytona 500. Man, he keeps trying. I mean, he's been close here a few times now, so add that one to his list.
We commented on a couple drivers we thought were on the hot seat the beginning of the season. Harrison Burton, one of them, 39th place finish, involved in the first wreck, only made 5 laps in this race. The other one, Daniel Suarez, he made 191 laps, but ends up 34th.
He was good.
Yeah, he was good in this one. He was up front. Austin Cindric ran well, despite a 22nd place finish for him. He ran 199 laps, so made it almost to the end.
Poor Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy. Poor Jimmy.
He had a great Thursday night. That was so much fun. The Creed meme. I mean, the whole thing was great. And then he made it 12 laps before getting involved in the first wreck, and Jimmy never really recovered.
Jimmy made Haley Deegan look a lot better in the Xfinity race because his wreck was kind of just like hers. Like, yeah, he kind of just wanted to be involved, so he hung back there and just like, yeah, let's get involved. So.
Yeah, well, I guess he got seat time for his other races for the rest of the year. So
yeah, there you go. The car looked good. He got to wear Richard's hat during the anthem and pre-race, so that was cool.
Yeah. It's always. I'm never gonna listen, man. Jimmy's legacy is set in stone. Yeah. Come hang out with us, man.
Yeah,
Thursday was fun, man. I was rooting for him so hard. I was like, "Come on, Jimmy.
Yeah,
you can make it."
There will be no picking on Jimmy from me. He can do whatever he wants to do. He's free to do what he wants.
You know, his move on Thursday where he was extremely patient. It kind of is the reverse Ross.
Yeah.
He let that thing come to him and he was sweating it, but he lived to fight off of turn 4, right?
Yeah, JJ made the mistake.
Yeah.
Jimmy just ran his line and JJ made the mistake.
Jimmy could have, when Ross backed up to him, if Jimmy lets off there and bogs down, he doesn't get to JJ. But he kind of had faith that he was going to be able to run right up to him, and he just held on. It was awesome. I thought that was probably my favorite part of the duels, was watching Jimmy fight to try to get into this race. That was great.
Yeah. William Byron is it's his 11th victory in 217 NASCAR Cup Series races. Second victory and 4th top 10 finish in 13 races at Daytona International Speedway for William Byron. This is a second straight season Daytona 500 produced 40 or more lead changes. Had 52 last year and 41 this year. 20 or more leaders. Last year had 21 different leaders. This year had 20 different leaders. So NASCAR likes those stats, right?
Yes, they do.
Anything else with the 500 before we move on to the other lesser, and I mean lesser this weekend, series?
Yeah, well, this was, I know we had a lot of rain, but I love Monday racing, but the Daytona 500 just needs to be on Sunday. But it didn't take anything away from me that it was on a Monday, even though it does seem a little strange, but it was still the Daytona 500. Thank you to The Rock, by the way.
You just stole my shout out for later.
Oh, I did?
It's okay. Well, it's okay. I got another one, so.
That's okay. I was going to say, I thought you were going to steal my shout out. But he stuck around when he didn't have to and did a lot of pub.
Yeah, he did a lot of social media. He looked like he wanted to be there.
Yeah.
His driver start your engines was excellent too.
I know he's corny at times, but he nailed it, man. He hung out, he stuck around, he delivered. So I appreciate that he did that. He didn't have to. That was awesome.
How many times does the honorary starter
all the time?
They never stay for the rain out. They always leave.
They never stay. And for whatever reason, The Rock, I know he's got a lot going on. I mean, I swear to God,
he's pushing the UFL pretty hard, but hey, whatever, man.
And WrestleMania, he's in that too. I swear to God, there's three clones of him. As much as there's a few guys that are like that. I think Travis Pastrana's got a double somewhere. Yeah. Like there's a handful of guys. So I'm like, you're there. You were just here. What are you doing there? He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
That was cool.
He did well.
Well, there's another shout out we can do later. I have a feeling you're gonna come and take it. So I'll let you take mine later if you want.
Sounds
no problem.
Good.
I got a really good feeling about it. So we'll see where we go when we get there.
See. I don't know.
All right.
The NASCAR Xfinity Series was the closer this weekend due to the rain.
God. Oh my God.
Austin Hill gets himself a win, third February Daytona win in a row. For Austin Hill. Is Austin Hill the new Xfinity king of super speedways, James.
Oh, he's been the king. This
Not
is
only
what
do
he
you factor
does.
that in, you factor in the Atlanta wins as well. And this guy, man.
He's just pencil him in. Dude's gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does. I don't know how he's just there. How is he always there?
I don't know. Something about him rubs me the wrong way, but damn, is he good at super speedways.
Yeah,
And maybe, I think a lot of what rubs me the wrong way with him was the situation with Sheldon Creed last year. And of course, Sheldon comes out. I was waiting for Sheldon to get to his back bumper, but couldn't do it. Sheldon gets another second place finish in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
So I couldn't remember the number, Eric.
Yeah.
So Austin Hill, this is the third one in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, there's big time pressure. He's got to come back and do it one more time.
Okay.
2008 Xfinity Series, probably the Nationwide Series back then. Winner, Tony Stewart. 2009, Tony Stewart. 2010, Tony Stewart. 2011, Tony Stewart.
There you go.
So he's got to go for the 4.
Yeah. How many does Dale Earnhardt or Dale Jr. have?
Dale Jr. I'm looking at. Dale Jr. won in 2002, 2003, 2004. So yeah, between Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart, there was almost a decade of nobody else.
Gotcha. And Earnhardt Sr. won several of them as well, but I don't know if he did them back to back.
Tony had 4 in a row, and he would have had, if not for Kevin Harvick, he would have had 7. Because he won in 05 and 06. Harvick wins 07, and then Tony Stewart rips off 4 in a row, and then Tony wins in 13. So yeah, he dominated the Xfinity Series for a long time. Dale Earnhardt, well, here we go. Dale Earnhardt, 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94. So there's 5. Yeah. So Austin Hill's going to have to keep doing this for a while.
Right. I knew Earnhart won a lot of them because Earnhardt used to win everything at Daytona except the 500.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Earnhardt, I think it's Earnhardt and then Stewart when you combine like every win. It's like, what is Earnhardt in the 30s and Tony's in the low 20s between the two of them? They've got a ton.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are these Xfinity Series races and then the duels and then the shootout. But yeah, they only used to run. I had to look at this because they only used to run Xfinity Series in February. So for a long time, there was no other option.
Right.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt was ripping them off. Dale Jr., man, yeah, he had a good run at it. Dale Jr. almost won 4 in a row if you count the summertime. So yeah, Austin Hill, that's good company, man. If the names we're talking here is Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr., I think you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So yeah, give him the crown him. He's the king right now. Give him the Rocks championship belt.
There you go. We already talked about the finish and the fact they let it play out, so we don't need to get back into that. Parker Retzlaff finishes 3rd in this one. Jordan Anderson, 4th place finish. The boss man running the car this weekend.
He had 2 cars in the top 4.
Yeah,
Parker was racing for him.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
That was a good run for both of those guys. We got to get the new love affair with Adam Alexander and
Jesse Love
during this race. Jesse unfortunately ended up in a wreck. Where the heck did Jesse end up?
Jesse Love, he was...
There he is, 20th. 20th place finish. Yep. So not terrible. Led 34 laps on the day.
Lead lap.
Yeah, 34
good
laps
run.
on the day, so most laps led. Good run for him.
Yes, it was.
Let's see, who else?
Eric, if you don't say it, I will.
What's that?
There's someone who led laps in this race.
Well, I was gonna get there, but first we also got to see it was the Xfinity debut, right? For
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, I think it was his Xfinity. He had to run ARCA to. I didn't know you were gonna do that one.
I know. I saved that one for you.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't know what to think after that was over.
No, neither did Michael Waltrip.
Shane Van Gisbergen.
That's really good.
But yes, James, I buried.
Keep that one on the board.
Oh, it's on the board. It's permanent.
Yeah, that's good.
So I did bury the lead though. Unfortunately I buried the lead. So let me give praise where it's due. James,
you're gonna have to eat crow. You're gonna have to eat some crow here.
History was made this weekend at Daytona. Natalie Decker led 7 laps in a NASCAR race
and finished on the lead lap.
7 laps, and she didn't wreck.
She beat some names.
She did. Now I'm giving her crap, but I believe third driver to lead laps, third female driver to lead laps in the Xfinity Series.
Not since 2013, Danica Patrick.
Yep, and
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, so I believe she's the third.
Yep.
Yes, the circumstances were stretching fuel and whatever, but I will eat crow when it's due and say good on Natalie Decker for leading laps, getting her name out there, getting her sponsor's name out there. She looked a little smug in her interviews after the race, but I guess
she did.
She was excited, so I can't put too much on her.
Well, you can't lead laps at Daytona from the go-kart track. That's for sure.
That's true. That's true. So,
yeah. I didn't know what to think of that whole situation, but I made to make sure I brought it up on the pod. So
I tweeted out that Natalie Decker was leading the Xfinity race. What a time to be alive.
See, you do love Nick Bromberg.
Yeah, I know. I know. I did
good.
steal that a little bit from him, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Eric, one more name just for fun.
Yeah.
Malcolm. He started this race.
Yeah,
Didn't
I forgot he was even in this thing.
Frankie Muniz, P33, damaged vehicle policy. So he got caught up. But yeah, Frankie was in it.
Yeah.
And he'll be in a few others. So he's going to be around this year in the Xfinity Series.
I am a little disappointed that I did mention the second place finisher and I didn't have Vince Welch do it. So
Sheldon Creed.
Finish second.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is that unsponsored Joe Gibbs Toyota?
Right. Yeah, it's funny that all my audio clips of people saying drivers' names are Xfinity names, but anyway, that's
well, I mean that's truck. That's truck series. That's
true.
Back.
That is true. And I do have one Cup driver.
KFB.
So there you go.
Yep. Never leave that. We can't lose that one either. Can't lose that one.
I'm sure I could pull a few out of the Netflix documentary as well.
Yeah.
Cup drivers,
yeah. Booty Barker. I'm sure Booty Barker would give us some content there too.
Oh man, Booty was the star of that series.
Yeah, he was.
Booty's so great. I love Booty.
I guess I lied to your ass.
I still have to watch the last episode. I've not watched the last one.
All right. Well, you let me know when you're done.
I mean, I know how it's going to end, James, so you can spoil it, but.
Oh, you did? You didn't know?
Right.
You didn't watch Phoenix, eh?
Yeah. So, anything else with the Xfinity series? I mean, this race, it wasn't great, but it wasn't the disaster that the other two that we're going to talk about hopefully very quickly were.
We got to rip through these next ones.
Yeah, we're going to rip through them pretty quick because they took forever on Friday.
Man, yeah, we got to do the opposite of what actually happened. No, I mean, it was kudos to some of the guys who had to run all these laps, all 800 miles.
Yeah. James,
sheesh.
Do you know who the highest finishing rookie in the race was?
In the Xfinity Series?
Yeah.
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Play that as many times as I can. I love that.
I had to think about it. I walked right into it.
The best part is that he said it like 3 times in a row, right? And he said it the same way every time.
He's never going to get it.
Come on, Mikey.
Yeah. Jeez.
That's all right. I can wait until Junior's on, and I'll have a couple new audio clips from him at the end of the season. So
yeah, he'll. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. Good Lord.
I mean, I do have the old Junior still, but
yeah.
All right.
That one's getting old now.
I know it's getting really old. We don't even do anymore. I mean,
yeah, no, we can't do it anymore.
Hard to do it with this car.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Jeez.
Yeah, James, there were 2 other races this weekend. Should we just leave it at that?
We could.
They really weren't races. They were mostly caution flag parade laps.
Congratulations to Nick Sanchez and Gus Dean.
Yeah, Nick Sanchez gets his very first win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Leads 26 laps. Let's see here, James. It was
that race.
We had 12 caution flags for 52 laps in a 101 lap race.
So just to give you a reference of how much caution there was, the pole was set at 178.7 miles per hour. The average speed of this race was 98. That's a lot of caution.
Yeah.
That's a lot of caution.
The Daytona 500 took 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 52 seconds to complete. The Truck Series took 2 hours, 33 minutes, and 8 seconds.
To run half the laps.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Oh my God. It was
Um,
and then who, Taylor Gray. I mean, that was spectacular.
Yeah.
That wreck was wild. That looked like Tony Stewart in '01 going up and over.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it, dude. They tore up a lot of crap.
Yeah, they did. They did.
The owners can't. Didn't Kyle Busch have a shirt that said the most
Yes.
expensive day of the year? Yeah.
Yes, I saw it circulating social media again this week.
Good. Okay. All right. Well, as long as that's still around, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true. Good Lord.
Then the ARCA race was run after that. Decision made to run Friday night instead of Saturday. Another good decision by NASCAR and Fox for doing this, moving the race up. Certainly saved us the hassle of having to sit through this on Monday night. At first, I thought maybe these guys would actually show the truck drivers how to do it because the last few ARCA races have been pretty decent. But then they wrecked half the field on lap 4, and that was the end of that.
10 cars running on the lead lap at the end of the race.
Incredible. Tony Breidinger, I think, probably had the most noteworthy stuff. She was involved in that lap 4 wreck. Had some really harsh words for her teammate. I mean, it's not quite the same because, half the field are Venturini cars, but this is not the first time we've had Venturini drivers upset with each other. I don't know what their formula is over there, but they got to get their crap together. You're going to own half the field. You got to get your drivers to not continue to bash each other on the mic after the wrecks.
Jeez. These cars ran 84 laps and 49 of them were under caution.
Yeah.
Man alive. And this was when I learned in this very race that there is a Tim Richmond out there.
Oh yeah. I learned that last year.
I know. And I was like, I perked up and now I need this man to do a group photo at some point and keep the legend alive. That's all I'm going to say. If you know that joke, I hope you liked it.
In case you, yeah, right. In case you missed Jamie Little mentioning it on the broadcast, he's not related to the well-known Tim Richmond. No relation whatsoever. But
he carries the name.
Tim Richmond
Carries the name.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep. Isn't he driving the 25 car too?
27.
27.
But
okay.
the OG Tim Richmond did run a 27 there for a little while.
There you go.
Yeah. And that was the old Milwaukee car, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct.
Way back in the time machine, before my time. That's way before my time.
I believe you are correct.
Eric,
yeah.
we can't leave this race without mentioning the greatest quote. Andy Jankowiak, is that how you say it?
I think
Andy
that's correct.
Jankowiak?
Yes.
I'm not lifting until I see God or the checkered flag.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
And he held true by ending up underneath another car.
He saw God. It was God. The answer was God.
Yeah.
He saw God. Yeah. He did make it all the laps, but he saw God.
What a cluster. Thank God nobody got hurt. That's all I can say about these two races.
All there's people who only watch one ARCA race a year, and boy, were they in for a treat.
Yeah.
When they watch this one.
Well, thank God it ended at 2:00 in the morning, so most of them weren't watching still.
If we didn't have ARCA at Daytona and Talladega, the sport would be too safe. That's for sure.
Let's talk about it, James, because Bubba Wallace posted on Twitter. He had a long rant on Twitter. A lot of spare time this weekend with the rain delays. But he said the drivers in the lower series have lost, this is paraphrasing, but they have less respect because there aren't Cup guys in the field anymore. Back when there were Cup guys in the field, Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch would pull you aside and say, knock it off. Stop doing that crap. Stop wrecking my stuff. Now those guys aren't there. These kids are not used to racing at this level. They don't have anybody to put them in their place. It's the fault of NASCAR for not allowing Cup drivers in the field. What do you think?
Ugh.
It feels like he might be onto something. I mean, I don't want to see, I will say that again, and I really was against limiting Cup drivers in these series, but I think I've said a few times on this podcast that in the end it has created a better breeding ground for these guys because they have names before they get to Cup, and we cheer for these guys on Friday and Saturday when we wouldn't have known their names when Kyle Busch was dominating the Truck Series. But he's probably not wrong either.
Well, let me ask it this way: if Ross when Ross was really going through it,
Yeah.
a couple seasons ago, when he was really going through it, was anybody really pulling him aside, or you know what I mean? Like in the Cup Series, like people were saying things, but they weren't pulling him aside. They're using their dang microphones. It's not.
Yeah, they all tweet it now.
They all tweet it, or they get on. Denny gets on his podcast and does his thing, and self serves. And
Speaking of which, Bubba was on Door Bumper Clear today, so
I saw that he was on. Yeah, and Denny got his social clips out too. So yeah, they're out and about. There's no pulling guys aside anymore. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think.
So you think
problem,
it's not a lack of Cup drivers, it's a lack of people playing that role in general.
Yeah, I also believe there's a lack of skill that's gone on. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of young fellas coming through here.
I think it's
and
more along the lines of these guys they don't work on their cars anymore. They don't build their own cars. They drive for somebody else. I mean, I sit here and I watch these lower series on Friday and Saturday nights around Michigan, and these kids are driving cars that aren't even owned by their parents in a lot of instances. They're driving cars for other owners, and so they're not feeling the hit in the pocketbook every time they wreck.
Yeah, they're not scared of anything.
Yeah,
either.
That
like
too.
That. I mean, they just take huge hits all the time.
Well, that's like hockey. Like back when they didn't wear helmets, you didn't see very many people taking sticks to the head because you knew better than to hit somebody with your stick. But now that everybody's got helmets and all this gear, they don't worry about it as much because, hey, it's not going to hurt them.
Well, I was, this is not very PC of me to say, but send them out there without seatbelt.
I deleted the bleep button off of this board. Should I put it back on before you say this?
I'm not gonna swear. I'm not gonna swear. I would just like to say, send them out there without seatbelts on once and see how they drive. You know what I mean? I mean, that's an extreme example, but seriously, these guys, they feel pretty invincible.
So there's no solution. I mean, that's what we've come down to. These are just going to be demolition derbies from now on. Because it was one thing when it was just the super speedways that were like this, but the Truck Series has proven that it's not just the super speedways.
It's a bit of a joke. We do need some sort of. I think we need some sort of penalty structure, some sort of rule to help curve it a little bit in the other direction. You can't just let them. They've proven that the Wild West doesn't work. Boys have at it and whatever the heck they've got going on. Like that's not getting the job done.
Or do we just say this is Friday and whatever happens on Friday happens on Friday and we'll just enjoy Sunday?
I guess. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I like the chaos, but Friday, I had enough of it Friday.
Yeah, well, I told you I made a mental health decision and didn't even turn it on. So
I guess it's a lot easier for me when I watch them delayed and I can skip through the red flags.
Oh yeah. Watching live's horrid.
Yeah, especially on the super speedways.
Yep.
All right. Well, there's Daytona. Daytona's in the rearview mirror. We don't have to worry about super speedway racing until. Oh wait, that's right. This weekend.
Yes.
Thank you, NASCAR schedulers, for giving us Atlanta in week 2.
Frankenstein's monster. Yep.
Anyway, before we get to that, the only real news item I found, James, is there was some discussion with the regarding the negotiation between the teams and NASCAR over the charter agreements and all that this week. NASCAR owners apparently told the AP that they have hired the top antitrust lawyer in the country to help with negotiations. Adam Stern reports that the Race Team Alliance invited NASCAR to a meeting this weekend, and NASCAR said no. It prefers to negotiate individually with the teams as it has been doing. Stern also pointed out that the negotiating team, this is per AP via Stern, that the negotiating team said there's been no discussion of creating a breakaway league not sanctioned by NASCAR, and there's no current consideration of staging races at non-NASCAR facilities without NASCAR governance.
Yep.
This thing's, how ugly is this going to get, James? I mean, it expires at the end of this season, right? We got to get something together. And if this isn't settled, by the time we go to Chicago, that's bad, right?
Here's the thing I think is going to happen. There's a lot of money to be had. I think they'll figure it out. I'm optimistic they'll figure out. This is probably as close as we've come to, you know how,
The
I mean,
IndyCar
Eric,
split.
you're a hockey fan,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you've lost seasons to strikes. I
Yep.
mean, I don't think we're going to get to that point, but this is kind of in the neighborhood of that.
Yeah.
I don't think NASCAR's ever been in that kind of situation before. We've had drivers walk out and not race. At Talladega is kind of the famous example. They didn't think it was safe and they left.
Yeah. I don't. Bill France isn't around to pull the Xfinity field and run them in the Cup race anymore, though. So
Yeah.
that won't.
Didn't it?
That won't work quite as well.
Yeah. Didn't the King in his prime go drag racing too over some of that kind of stuff? So
Yeah,
I mean
that
that's
wasn't NASCAR so much. That was
yeah.
that was Dodge, I think, that
Mhm.
created that fiasco.
So yeah,
but-
I mean I mean I think they'll get a deal done. It's just NASCAR loves to pocket the money.
Mhm.
They got to do a better job of dispersing it. And I also think the TV deal wasn't as big as they thought it was going to be.
Jeff
think that might
Gordon
hold us
said
up to that.
again that Rick Hendrick has not made a profit on his
Well,
NASCAR team in years.
there's a reason Jeff Gordon's doing that publicly though.
Right? No, I know. I'm
I,
not saying it
it's-
because it's true. I'm saying it.
I understand.
Because,
I understand.
so Gordon's argument is that the profit comes from all the other B2B stuff.
Yes.
My
yes.
argument is that B2B stuff isn't possible without NASCAR. So you're still making a profit from NASCAR. It
Yes.
just might not be coming in the money you're getting from NASCAR.
Right. It's
Um,
part of it. Yeah.
You know, it's tough because, look, I see where the teams are coming from, but
Yeah.
unlike the NFL or the MLB, we're not funding these multi-million-dollar stadiums we race at with taxpayer funds either. You know, I mean, I guess we are. North Wilkesboro was revamped due to taxpayer funds, but you're not going to the town and having them pass millages to build a new stadium for your NASCAR race. Like those. So, I mean, if you ask me, the biggest racket in the world is the NFL and what they do to keep a team in town and what they do to the local market and whatnot.
Oh, it's
and
it's
don't get me
ridiculous.
started on Little Caesars Arena down in Detroit and what they did at that
yep,
place and all the
that's-
promises they made that they still haven't fulfilled
Uh-huh.
to get that thing
Yep.
built with taxpayer
They get that
funds.
tax. Yep.
So-
Yep. I don't even want to get into it because it's
I know.
been
This
bothering
will
me for
become
years.
become a 10-hour long podcast.
Yeah, it's been bothering me for a long
So
time.
I get it too from NASCAR's point that they've got more responsibilities than the NFL does or the NBA or the NHL, you know. So I don't know. I mean, the thing that bothers me the most is that we're talking about this. Like,
Yeah.
this is something that should go on behind closed doors that we shouldn't worry about as fans. I mean, you and I don't cover the sport. We talk about the races every week. And the fact that we spent so much time discussing these agreements just shows how big of a deal this is because we shouldn't care.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
I'm with you. I think something gets resolved. I can't imagine we go to the end of the season without something getting resolved. But I also didn't think that Kyle Busch would ever leave Joe Gibbs Racing. So who knows?
Right. Yeah. I mean, let's give it another couple of months here. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that that NASCAR just doesn't even want to, like, they're not going to engage the RTA at all.
Right.
I think the men in the room, it's going to be the higher ups at NASCAR, and it's going to be people like Rick Hendrick getting in there and making it happen.
Yeah.
So
The other thing is all these teams have big investors now and stuff too. Like it's not the old days, you know, it's not negotiating the way that it used to be negotiated. But then again, we're signing, billion-dollar TV deals too. So I don't know. I mean, it's just,
and if you're NASCAR, you tell these guys, well, go ahead. Where are you going to go?
right.
Go do it. You're not going to build an F1 car and go race F1.
Right.
What are you gonna do? Yeah,
I mean, there's a stock of SRX cars sitting around. They could run those on SMI
Run
tracks.
SRX. Yep, you can't run ARCA because
Maybe that's why SRX went under, because SMI bought them out and they're building cars for their new rival series.
maybe. Or Ray Evernham's got the IROC series.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
There's options out there. Yeah.
I mean, it's that NASCAR. I mean, NASCAR really put their foot in on the negotiating deal when they bought ARCA, because that was your best chance at starting a rival series, because you're not going to start from scratch. I mean, I guess if you could get the big names, if you could get I don't know though, man. Yes, we've got star power, but we don't have the star power like back in the day.
No.
If you could have gotten Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt to go run a rival series, you could have started a series and been successful.
Yes.
You could have done it with one of them, but you can't. There's who are you going to do that with now? You can get Kyle Busch to go over and nobody cares.
Well, it's like, there's a lot of times there's a good comparison with golf.
Yeah.
And golf does a lot of things kind of like NASCAR. There was a time when Tiger Woods could have started his own thing, right?
Yeah.
And broke off from the PGA. He never did, stuck with the PGA. And then Tiger Woods, of course, got older and broken. And up comes Live Golf with Saudi Arabia money. And now, it's a big old mess.
Yeah.
That I don't want to see a big old mess like that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, no matter what happens, if there's a split of any sort, it's bad for the overall sport. Period.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a better result. Look at IndyCar. IndyCar, back when I started going to NASCAR races at Michigan International Speedway, the 2 NASCAR races did not put up numbers that the IndyCar race did.
That's
the
right.
IndyCar race was the big weekend. They split, and IndyCar tanked, and they're no longer at Michigan International Speedway. And they're no longer at Michigan International Speedway because they went too fast. Because they're going to go race at Nashville, which they're going to go pretty damn fast there. They race at Texas. They go fast there. They're not there anymore because people didn't show up to the races, and it was because of that split. So, there you go.
Yep. Michigan 500 just couldn't replace the Indy 500.
Yep. Yeah, that was the beginning of the end. They packed that place for that race. They wrecked on the parade lap, and that was the end of the split working.
Yep.
So
exactly.
But that was the downfall of CART. That all started it. And it took many years for them to resolve and come back together, and look at where they're at. They're still struggling to get back a fraction of what they had, except for one weekend a year in Indianapolis. So
Exactly.
Well, James, we go to Atlanta this weekend. All 3 series in action. I don't know if ARCA's in action. I don't count ARCA usually. No offense to ARCA, but we don't have the means to cover ARCA every week.
We don't have the capacity.
Obviously, Daytona weekend, we'll discuss them a little bit. And if something big happens, we'll talk about them. But the main 3 series we focus on are the 3 NASCAR series. NASCAR Cup Series in action on Sunday, 3 p.m., the Am Better Health 400. NASCAR Xfinity Series and Truck Series run a doubleheader on Saturday. The Truck Series kicks things off at 2 p.m. with the Freight 208, and the Xfinity Series at 5 p.m. with the Raptor King of Tough 250. I've not looked at the weather forecast because I don't want to look at weather forecasts right now. So hopefully it's good this weekend at Atlanta and we can get some racing in on time. James, we get to make picks for the Atlanta Cup race. Any thoughts on who you expect to be out front in this one when all things are said and done?
Yeah. I think so. It's tough because we haven't gone speedway to speedway like this before.
Right.
And it's like, all right, do you go with the guys who were good in Daytona and just stick with it? If that's the case, but then again, all their cars were wrecked. So I don't know.
I can tell you to pick.
I'm going to take Chris Bell here. I'm going to take Chris Bell. Yeah. But I have other thoughts, but I'll take Chris Bell.
Corey LaJoie is a good pick here. He's
there you go.
Top 5 finish Daytona, really good at Atlanta. Atlanta's pretty much been his best shot at a win so far. He's come close just about every time we've run there.
Bubba Wallace too, you know? Why not? Yeah, those guys are going to be good.
I'm going all in on Corey LaJoie. I'm one pick this week, just Corey LaJoie.
And then the guy who won the 500. Oh yeah, he's won Atlanta.
Yeah, he won. Yeah, but it was rain shortened.
Yeah, but that was a hell of a race. You were there, man.
That
was one of the best races of the year last year, and I'm not a huge fan of this Atlanta track, but that was fantastic racing.
I poo-pooed it at the start of this podcast, but I love this Atlanta racetrack because I think the current layout of this track right now still lends itself to it's a good mix. It gives you that super speedway, but it gives you that mile and a half. I think it's the best of both worlds, personally.
And who knows how much it's changed. That's the one thing we gotta keep an eye on this track as it evolves, because I think it's gonna evolve fairly quickly.
It will evolve quickly, but it is gonna be cooler, in theory, because it's early in the year, so that should help it race more like a super speedway, you would think.
Yep.
So
we'll see.
We shall see. How'd Fantasy League go this week, James?
Oh,
I know it
my
went really
God.
well for you because I know you were behind me last I checked.
I lost points between yesterday and today.
Even better. Did I lose
I don't
points
even
or
know what
am I
happened.
still locked in ninth place?
No, where did you go? No, you bumped up.
Did I? Nice.
Yeah, you went up to 8th. Yeah, I don't know what
Wow.
happened. They
Still
must have
middle of
changed
the
the scoring
field.
or something. So a couple of new players here. Jeff Gordon for GOAT comes in and takes the win. Hendrick Flair second, and Mickey Elliott third. So I guess you've got a Hendrick top 3. Our
Shut
good
Up
buddy
Roger
Green Egg-
messaged me about
Oh,
30 minutes
no.
before the start of the race asking if we were doing a fantasy league again.
Jeez.
And he finishes freaking 5th place.
Yeah. Well, our buddy Green Eggs and Hamlin was 4th. So yeah, there's your top 5. Ranger 6th. We have a few new players. Looks like we got 18 people competing so far.
Nice.
We've got a couple that didn't get any picks in, but I'm going to give them a couple of weeks before I kick them out. Yeah, I had 91 and I'm at 84. Me and our buddy Todd, 17th and 18th. Holy smokes, we got crushed.
Yeah, you went backwards because you weren't in the back when I checked.
Well, I don't check live scoring anymore because it doesn't do me any good. But yeah, I had Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Eric Jones, Austin Cindric, Michael McDowell on my bench. Yeah, when Joey and Brad fell out with 0 stage points, I was in big time trouble.
Bubba saved me. I had Bubba. I had Joey, Denny, and Brad. And then I had Chris Buescher and Bubba Wallace.
Oh, what a bad day that one turned out to be. So
Kyle Busch was on my bench, but I wasn't watching live, so I couldn't swap him in.
The Daytona 500 eludes me yet again. So well, that's all right. I start at the bottom, just like 2002 Smoke. I'll start in the bottom, work my way back. It's okay. Good Lord. What an ass kicking. This damn fantasy league. There you go. This damn fantasy league, man. And then NASCAR's app. I got a rant.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go for it.
Yeah. So NASCAR's fantasy live app, they can't get the champion right. We've got Blaney in a Toyota and driving for Stewart Haas Racing. And now I typically, when we do this, I open up my phone and I can read the names of the teams. Well, they're all freaking cut off. So all I see is Jeff Gordo, Hendrick, and Miska Moo as the top 3. So I have to log into the dang desktop to make sure that I can see the dang name. I was so frustrated before we got started. I was actually razzled. I hope you didn't notice, because I was
Well, I noticed now because you said it.
Oh, frustrated, man. I was hot.
Here's
NASCAR fantasy league.
Here's James's Daytona 500 weekend.
Stepped on my ding dong there.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And I'm the champion in my other league. I think I finished last in that one too.
Oh man.
That big one really took me out.
Well, James,
not good.
Let me make you feel better. 62 and sunny on Saturday, 66 and partly sunny on Sunday. That's the forecast for Atlanta.
Thank God. Yes. Yes.
Things can change though, as we know.
Well, yeah.
NASCAR comes to town, right?
Yeah, I know. So far we're 2 for 2.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Man.
Checkered flags, James. Got any checkered flags? You want me to go first just in case you steal mine?
You go ahead and go, because I think I know what you're going to take. I've got a backup, so go ahead.
All right. So, actually, I have 2. We already talked about NASCAR and gave them credit. So, I was contacted on Twitter by Mike from Racecraft Dioramas, who we talked about.
We did?
Yeah, we talked about. We talked about last week. He's the one with the North Wilkesboro replica, and he reached out and said he heard the pod and thanked us for talking about it and all that. So very cool, Mike. Thanks for listening, and always cool when we connect with people we talk about on here, because I don't figure anybody's listening, but somebody must have heard us in this direction. So
yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, I saw that, and I got a new follower and gave him a follow as well. So we'll be checking in. So yeah, that's really cool.
All right, it's all you.
Well, I thought you were going to take this one. I'll take it. MRN has the coverage of the Daytona 500 on radio, and they let the retiring Doug Rice come in from PRN and call some laps for the Daytona 500.
That was really
that
cool.
Was really, really classy move as Doug Rice is on his retirement tour. Obviously, PRN does not call the Daytona 500. But got to cross that item off the bucket list. In his last season, he got to call the Daytona 500 with the MRN boys. So kudos to everybody to make that happen. I love that. they're not competitors. They're just, they
Yeah.
each got a branch of the season. So I love it. That's great.
Yep, definitely. That's very,
Very
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I saw that just before we started recording. And now I see why you thought I was going to go with that one. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I thought you were going to take that one.
Yeah.
But no, that was good. I thought that was cool.
Very cool. How about black flags? Any black flags this week? I mean, there's plenty of options.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I'll take one just off of the teardown. I thought Jordan took it easy on Jeff.
Yeah.
Because I thought Jeff looked pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because I tweeted this, that Jordan could have really went wild. And
he really could have.
I've seen Jordan at the track many times, and that looked exactly like something Jordan Bianchi would wear at the track.
It did. Yeah, he was nice to him. I thought Jeff pulled it off. I was like, dang, man, he looks pretty snazzy, and he made some content out of it. And it was all good things, man.
Yep.
I just wish he would have embarrassed him a little bit more, but I guess Jeff was embarrassed enough.
Yeah.
So
no,
mission accomplished.
Cool.
Mission accomplished. Yeah, kind of a black flag, but more in a funny way. I enjoyed that.
James, you know where I'm going, right?
I think so. Let's see.
Freaking Andy Petrie.
Yeah, I do.
Oh my gosh. So listen, and I thought about this so much today. Andy Petrie in the booth in the Xfinity Series race, obviously works with Richard Childress Racing. The gloating and cheering that he did at the end of the Xfinity race, and he started it early, because I went back when I was looking for the clips of
Shane Van Gisbergen,
that type of stuff in the Xfinity broadcast. I heard him make the comment that I'm not going to give too much away, but that's kind of the strategy. So Andrew's been in the booth many times, and I've never heard him so openly just root for his team, and
oh my God,
take a page from Dale Jr., who won't even sit in the booth in a lot of the playoff races, especially the final playoff race, because he doesn't want to influence things or come across that way. But even when he does, he's harder on his team than anybody else. He doesn't sit there and cheerlead. And yes, we've had this in history. Famous, the Michael Waltrip Daytona 500, Darrell calling his brother the line. We had the two Ned Jarrett calls for Dale Jarrett winning the Daytona 500. And I get it, but those are family members. This is he's part of the team, and I get that he's been a part of the team forever, but for God's sakes, it's not like it's your kid. He's your driver. Jeff Gordon didn't do this when Jeff Gordon was in the booth.
And Andy Petrie's been doing it for a long time too.
Yeah, and I've never heard him do this like this. It was really bad.
He's got a vendetta that he didn't like how he was portrayed at the end of last season. So yeah.
I just had a real problem with it, and I didn't like it. And I'm not usually
not
one.
a great look.
I don't really expect these guys to be super unbiased in the booth, but it was just too much. Shut his mic off, for God's sakes, Fox. Come on.
Yeah, it was kind of surprising to see all that. And then Matthew Dillner, he was.
Oh yeah,
I said that. I said that.
Back.
Yeah, I sent that to you. So
I'm not very high on Matthew Dillner either, so that's fine. Perfect company there. Perfect company.
Yeah. Yep. Anything to get you riled up, man. This is always good by me. So
yeah, I went on Facebook that night, and somebody posted in Jeff Gluck's Facebook group. It was just F, but spelled out, F Andy Petrie, and I just replied,
"Wow,
yes, thank you."
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah, so it was nice to see other people were annoyed by it, and there were several tweets about it as well. So
yeah,
I guess I'm justified in my bitching.
Yeah, always. You always are, man.
Yeah, I can't
Especially
pick
when
on.
you come out here.
I can't pick on Natalie Decker this week. She finished the damn race, so I got to go after somebody.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
this is your show.
I'll have more opportunities for Natalie. It's coming. You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna end up becoming a fan of hers, like back when SportsCenter used to make fun of Dick Trickle because of his name.
Oh my God,
it's gonna be like that. That I'm gonna be following her career extra close just because of this.
I sent you the picture of that hat. Did I not? Was that not the greatest hat you ever seen? The Dick Trickle hat?
That was a good picture. That was a good hat. Yeah.
Oh, man. I should have bought it. I didn't buy it. I should have bought it.
That was good stuff. Good stuff.
Man. Holy cow.
On that note, James, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up during the week?
At James Cush on X.
No, it's Twitter.
I know. I gave up.
I've never typed x.com. I always type in twitter.com.
I do
used
too.
to use the app, but Elon screwed the apps up so bad that I now go to the freaking website.
It's bad.
Anyway, you can find
the whole
me.
thing's bad.
You can find me at TSuperSpeedway. Best bet to tweet me or follow me after Xfinity races when I'm watching live, obviously. Facebook.com/TheSuperSpeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on there, old episodes, links to articles, all that stuff. The podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor. It's on all of those the next day. Sometimes it hits Apple Podcasts that night. You never know. Subscribe for new episodes each week. And if you go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway, you can leave us an audio message. We might just play it on the show. Give us a shout. Tell us what you think of the show. Do some bragging about your fantasy results, whatever you want to do. Hit us up there, anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway. Atlanta Motor Speedway is coming up this weekend. Daytona is in the rearview mirror. We are in the NASCAR season now, finally, for 2024. We'll be back next week to break it all down and get things ready for the following weekend. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.